Lascam Corla. As Kildare South TD, I have a huge regard for our defence forces and a really important role that they play in Irish society. Not just because the Defence Force Training Centre is in the heart of my constituency in the Curragh camp, or because Kildare South has the largest postal vote in the country, but because as I grew up in Kildare, a number of my friends in school, their parents were members of the Defence Forces. And I won't be lectured here by anybody on that side of the house, I tell you that. Because when I grew up in my GA club, I was aware of every member of our club who was a serving member of the Defence Forces and the huge regard with which they were held. And as I grew up with my friends, some of them went through the Army Apprenticeship School, or some of them joined the Defence Forces, the Air Corps and the Navy themselves. And early on in those times, our biggest concern was that they would go abroad on a tour of duty and miss a championship match. And then as they got older and we all got married and had children, I saw the strain on them and their families when they went to take on that tour of duty. And I acknowledge the role and the difficulty that it is for the wives of partners of serving members. And I hate the fact that our Defence Forces now have a low morale and feel they're not as valued as they should feel. And I work very hard, as Minister Keogh does and as others do in government, to make sure that we put that right, because our Defence Forces matter, and it is manifest itself in the recruitment and retention area. We're determined to see that put right. And I continue to use my position as government TD in that regard. I'm well aware of the strain on serving members when we don't have a full complement of personnel, the strain that falls on all the others, both in training and in tours of duty and 24-hour duties and all the beyond. One point that is never made, though, and I think it is worth making, I'm not surprised that we have a recruitment and retention issue, because the level of training and the quality of training that is in our Defence Forces, these are highly sought after members, and at a time of full employment in our country, there is no doubt the private sector would be screaming out for the talents and the skills from a logistics perspective, from a discipline perspective and all the rest that our Defence Forces have. And that is why we will continue to work and improve the conditions so to make sure that we do fight and compete with the private sector. But it is a regard to which the training that our Defence Forces get in that regard. So there's a number of areas we do need to address and do need to make movement on. We need to get a formal affiliation for our personnel and their representatives like PD4 with the Irish Congress of Trade Unions, and I commend the Minister and his officials for the work in that regard. An awful lot of work has gone on behind the scenes, and I hope we see the fruits of that in the very near future. The issues around the Working Time Directive, to see progress worked on that with the working group that was established and the progress that was made in that regard. Again, not grabbing big headlines, but doing the work and doing the level of detail that is needed in this area. And we have to accept it's not easy in dealing with any issue around staffing and HR issues with our Defence Forces, because of the very unique role that they have in our society and in our country. I hope as well the Public Sector Pay Commission will be making progress in the very near future and see movement on the Outstanding Adjudication Awards for the Army Ranger Wing, the allowances, chefs, technicians, pay and account holders allowance, and the rations of recruits and apprentices. And while I understand that PD4 have taken an action around the retrospective nature of this, I would encourage, and I've raised this point with Minister Donoghue already as well, that we really should see movement. Let's get it paid from now. Let the action take care of itself, but we could start paying that payment now straight away and get that payment in there, and I'd love to see that be able to happen. Again, that'll be another step in the right direction. So I'm acutely aware of the challenges when it comes to public sector pay. We have a broad public sector pay agreement, and some people on the other side of this house seem to have forgotten that, and that through the confidence and supply arrangement, you actually signed up in Fianna Fáil to the public sector pay agreement. You agree in a collective. Michael McGrath, your finance spokesman, and others agree it is the right approach. Yet, in some ways, you want to undermine that here now. And I was part of the negotiation team with Fine Gael, looking at the confidence and supply arrangement last autumn. Not once was Defence Forces pay paid there, raised there, and the Public Sector Pay Commission in the confidence and supply arrangement, you back that. You back up that process, and then you're in a situation here where you're trying to undermine it before it's even come out. So, I would make a point here, if someone was to be cynical, you could say that Fianna Fáil here are playing politics. And that just before the culmination of an awful lot of work that has taken place, and before that culmination, you come down with this motion, trying to play games and trying to position yourselves to take credit in an area that you have been quite on in the past. So I make this point here. I have huge regard, absolutely massive regard for my friends, people who live in my community, constituents of mine across the board who serve in the Defence Force Lascam Corla. And I continue to work with the Minister and with my other colleagues in government to try and make sure that we bring about the changes that are needed here, that puts our Defence Forces back in a proud position in everybody's eyes, as they should be. Because I hate the fact that we've had, the situation developed now over time where that level of frustration has risen to this point. And I continue to work so that the men and women of Ugly and Nahiran get improvements in their circumstances in light of the very crucial role that they play in our society. Thank you.
Minister Jim Dail.